Well, good afternoon and welcome to our very special Friday the 13th Drive Facebook Live. I'm Bob Spitz. I'm here with Tony Whistler, and we have some very special guests today. We have Dan and Chris Bollinger from Olympic Truck, and we have Eddie Lawrence from MTR in Colorado. And they're our most recent recipients of a couple of fabulous awards. Chris and Dan were awarded Master of Shop Management, and Eddie got Master Elite. Well done, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. You know, I didn't get a chance to come to the expo, but I was watching your presentations, and it's always so moving for, a member of Drive to see that, because we feel your pain and your wins and everything you go through, and it's a hell of an accomplishment. It's to walk that path and make it to that level of proficiency in shop management is a job very well done. And both your stories were well, they were heartfelt. They were very heartfelt. So
very
once
moving.
Again, yeah. So once again, well done. So you're a generational shop, right, Dan?
Yes, yeah, we're, I guess, working on our second generation. My dad and uncle started it just over 40 years ago, or 41 years ago, roughly.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
And
You're
how
not-
long have you had it?
It'll be 5.5 years.
yeah, I was gonna say, I think we've 5.5 years now that we've officially owned it. I mean,
Feels like forever.
it does.
A life sentence. Yeah.
Now, are you guys an MSO? Do you guys have 2 locations, or do you just have the 1 location?
We have 2. We have we rented a space, and so we have a trailer shop where we work on like semi trailers, like dry boxes,
Yeah, we
roll
do.
up doors.
Yeah, and kind of more fab work too is done over there for trailers, liftgate work, stuff like that. And then our other shops, mainly trucks and engine work and that type of work. And depending on what's going on, both shops can do brakes and basic suspension work or something. But
And you also have a mobile element.
yes, yeah, we've got a couple guys out on the road. One guy is geared more towards trailer. The other guy is kind of a general, well, he'll fix just about anything that's broken.
Right, of course. And that segues me right into Eddie, who is MTR Mobile Trailer Truck Repair, and he literally started his business from the dirt.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
1996 from the back of my truck.
Yeah, strictly doing mobile, right?
Yeah. Just strictly doing mobile, and had an opportunity to go to work for a big fleet. And they didn't want it in-house. They wanted someone else to assume the liability, I assume. And so I was ready to jump in. Yeah.
So you were a 1-man band when you had the truck, and you were just moving around doing stuff.
Yeah.
And how long did that last?
You know, I was the 1-man show for about 9 years, and I started hiring techs and buying trucks, and got, after the 9 years or so, got the about up to 5 trucks, and me myself still working out of the truck. And that tends to plateau out. Eventually, you need a facility. You need to be able to do more. You can only do so much when you're exposed to the elements. The engine's exposed to the elements. You're exposed to the elements, and you can only do so much for so long, and it was killing me. So I bought the shop property in 2012, and now we just run the 2 mobile trucks to fleets around town and go to their lots on site.
Yeah. I always thought about you and the hard bark you actually have to do mobile truck in Colorado in the winter.
Colorado, exactly.
Yeah, I didn't even have a shop when I signed up with you guys. I was working out of my truck, and you guys were like, "Can we even take this guy on? He's hopeless."
Yeah, we thought, well, wait a minute, doesn't he need a shop?
Well, it took me a while to get the balls enough to do it, but I did it.
Yeah, no, that's great.
I like not having overhead. That was the one good thing about, the only good thing about mobile is the low overhead.
Lower
Other-
income
most
demand.
of it- The rest of it sucks.
Yeah, but it was lower income demand. And then of course your consultant probably said, we need to raise up your income demand so you can start making some money.
Yeah, so let's get you a mortgage
Let's get you a mortgage.
Yeah, I know. I
and
know.
hire a bunch of people.
Exactly.
Yeah, I dove in finally.
How big is your crew now, Eddie?
14.
14. Wow. And you're right up around there too, Chris, right?
We got about 23.
23.
Yeah.
23 staff. That's great.
Yeah, empire builders.
Mhm.
We were up to about 22 pre-COVID. And, we were kind of heavy on the front end and heavy in different areas. And, COVID kind of forced us to tighten our belt a little bit. And so, yeah, right now our comfort zone, I guess right now where we're at is 14, 15. Sometimes we get up to 16.
Yeah. Well,
Very cool.
Chris and Dan, I don't think you ever got to meet Mike Lee. Eddie did. But Mike was always preaching lean and mean.
We are
Boy.
not lean and mean. I wish we were more, but
I was gonna say, yeah, right now we've got a really good flow with who we have, but yeah. It's definitely not as lean as it could be.
Yeah, it's either that or figure out how to pump more business into the facility. And
that's what we're working on.
I was gonna- yeah.
That's kind of like our trailer shop. We added another tech there. So we're up, like our goal for this year is about $1 million there, but we've only got like 2 or 3 techs. So they do a lot of work out of there. And so that has been great because that was kind of when we started it, we kind of penciled it out and we're like, okay, we think we can do $1 million. That would be like an 80% efficiency, like running fairly lean and efficient. And last year was its first year. And I think we did like 600, which was okay. And then this year, let's see, I think like all of our techs quit at once. We had like one apprentice and 2 people quit within like a week of each other because
nice.
they didn't feel appreciated. But then once they quit, they were like, oh, I can only make $18 an hour working somewhere else. And I was like, I was just paying you 34. So like, and then he was like, well, I'll come back, but they need to call and like give me a raise. I was like, you decided to walk off the job. Sorry. Like I've already hired someone else. And
yeah,
like, so
I had a quick question for Eddie. You can see that Dan and Chris are both there. They both run their shops. Eddie is not much different than that either. His wife, Holly, was very closely connected to the shop. She's not with you right now. Tell us a little bit about what's happening with Holly these days.
She doesn't have to be here. And, she was an active participant for a number of years, and now she's spending time with the girls and running that into the business with the kids, because that's a full-time job. And then so she's able to come to the shop every other Tuesday. We have our full shop meeting, so she comes and kind of takes care of the kitchen, makes a list of what we need to do to restock the kitchen up, and then she's part of the meeting, tells some jokes. Everybody loves to see her, and she makes a guest appearance, and it's always fun to have her here. But other than that, she's part of the hiring process still. She will do the initial calls when we get technician and vet them, and she has a call sheet with a list of questions and discussion, and sparks up conversation to see what their tone is like and see if they're a good fit. Aside from the skill, do they have the right chemistry to fit with us? And she determines that in her call, because as you all know, women have a great knack for, just
spotting the bad guy.
Yeah, just spotting this, if this is a good fit or not. They just a short phone call and she can figure that out. To where we would be, oh, he knows this and this, bring him on. And it's like, no, the chemistry is so much more vitally important. You can teach the skill, you can't teach the personality. So chemistry is very important to us now with the shop flow. And so then she will line up, when she sniffs them out, then she'll line up let us know, and we'll line up the interviews and meet them in person. Saves a ton of time for myself and the service manager and the general manager on that end. I don't always have to meet them. I just choose to. My GM and service manager do a great job of making that judgment. They're the ones who have to work with them the day to day. I don't have to, but I like to be there for those interviews.
Oh, yeah, sure,
cool.
absolutely. You know, Chris and Dan, who got you interested in going for masters? Because that's quite a hill to climb.
Anna told us we were going to, and
Oh, I see.
and so we did.
Being told.
Very good.
Yes, I can
Very
see
good.
Anna doing that.
Yeah,
You will
she's
be a
like, you'll be
master."
fine. You can do it. You already do most of the stuff. I'm like, okay.
And look who
Oh.
just showed up.
Yeah, we got Dan Vasquez
Dan
joining
made it
us.
in. Good to see you, Dan.
What's up, everyone? Sorry I'm
Hey.
late.
Not a
about
problem. Not a problem.
Were you out on the farm on the tractor?
Not today. Tomorrow. I'm on
Tomorrow.
the tractor. Yep. Tomorrow we're building roads.
Yeah. Well, why don't you introduce yourself, Dan, and let us know who you are and all that.
Yeah. Hey, everyone. I'm Dan Vasquez. I am with Performance Motorworks. We are a German car specialty shop in Northern California. We're in Rockland, which is near Sacramento. And hi.
Yeah, hi. And Dan is our other very recent recipient of Master of Shop Management. And it's so nice to have you aboard. You know, I was telling the other folks, I was watching all the videos from the awards, and it was very heartfelt, and, you know, a tip of the hat to you and everybody else who decides to grab that brass ring and go for it, because it's a hill to climb to make that happen. So
Thanks,
very well
Bob.
done.
Thank you. Yeah, it was
And-
a really great experience. Sorry, Tony, I mean to cut you off, but yeah, it was really surreal being up there, and all the other shop owners, whether they're masters or whether they're just getting started, everybody just so genuinely nice to each other and helpful towards each other. I mean, that was like the real big takeaway. I just couldn't believe how great really everybody was there.
That's awesome. I was going to ask, when did you decide to go for it? Like there always comes that moment when you just go, when are we going to do this thing? And when did you decide to go for that? Go for masters?
Yeah, it was really it was a very quick thing. So my previous coach, Anna, she had sent me
Anna again.
yeah. She had sent me the link, right, or the drive assignment to do what's the first level, like executive owner, I forget.
Effective, then
Effective,
professional.
yeah. Yep, effective. And so she had sent me the effective, and I started filling that out. And like 2 weeks later, she goes, wait a minute. We're just going to go right to master. She goes, and I said, all right, sure. She's like, you're going to have 2 classes overlapping with each other. And then you're going to be overlapping with the financial planning apprenticeship. She's like, so you're going to really have to hustle. And I was like, I don't know what any of that means, but yeah, let's just do it. That sounds awesome.
Well, I remembered seeing you a lot in a lot of workshops, and I thought that was great. Anytime I see a client who's really jumping in and getting a lot of knowledge, it's always exciting for me as an instructor. And I love to see you. You were there all the time. I felt like we were like hanging out together all the time. It was wonderful.
I know. It was awesome. Yeah. And Dan and Chris, we're like family now.
Dan and Dan.
Yes.
Super confusing because then there's another class when there was another Dan, and I'm like,
3 Dans, too many.
Too many Dans.
There's a
Too
lot.
many. That's one too many.
And then I'm like, hey, Dan, what do you think? And they're like, which one, Tony? And I'm like, oh, sorry.
like nobody answers or all of them answer.
Yes.
Yeah. You know, Eddie, you've been with us the longest of everybody here. I remember when you first came on, and back, I guess it was around 2011, 2012, somewhere back there. And you've done an awful lot with us. And I was talking to Eddie about this prior to we firing up. Eddie helped me. I had to do a presentation for Napa Expo in 2015 for their truck group. And Eddie and Dave Bloom and Dave Saline were my panel. And I remember Dave Bloom saying, well, how many people will be in the audience? I said, I don't know, 750.
That's it.
And I said, don't worry about it. And
Yeah.
we had such a blast.
Yeah, I remember that vividly. Pictures still pop up on the memory cloud of us sitting on that huge stage with you. And I'm just glad that you were there to moderate, because it would have been a train wreck otherwise.
Yeah, nothing like getting three wild truck guys together in a room full of truck guys. It could have been mayhem.
Yes, yes.
But
I remember that morning, Dave and I had breakfast and we were looking at our notes, just kind of rehearsing, and we were so nervous.
Well, Dave is a madman, and I love that guy. And he's, I would always expect that any panel with Dave on it and you on it, Eddie, would have to be must-see TV.
Yeah, I told the audience, I said, you cannot hold me responsible for what these guys are going to say. That I have no control over what they're going to say.
Exactly.
We had to sign a waiver before that, didn't we?
Yeah, I think so.
I would not be surprised.
Hey, Eddie, if you look back over all your experience and all your training that you've done, is there any particular course or set of courses that really helped you achieve this level of proficiency in shop management?
You know, the way it worked out for me, because I stretched it out over time, and then new classes were offered, and it worked out really well for me, because when I would take the class, that's exactly the level I was at. So when I did service advisors, that's where I was at. When I did financials, that's where I was at. And then later on, the new classes came up, like financial planning, and you get deeper diving, the exit strategy courses, and the success class, and with all the exit strategies and all that. That's where we were at for that. So it's like it was in a very natural, progressive order for me as I took them. It's like, this is exactly what I need and where I'm at. When I did the marketing, I needed the marketing class at that point. And then I took my GM back to the first class, the intro classes, and those changed up to where they were, what's it called now, Tony?
Essentials of Shop Management.
Yep. So I took that class with you, and I took Joel to that a few years ago, pre-COVID. That was one of towards the end of the live classes there in Monrovia. But it was a great class to revisit and go there again. And you guys, updated it and changed with the industry from when I first took it. And so I got a ton out of it the first time in, because I was just a technician trying to be a business owner. And then going back years later as a business owner of my company with a general manager, it was a whole different take on it. And I enjoyed it equally. It was awesome. It was awesome.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. And that transition. Now, Chris, you didn't have to go through that transition like these guys did, of going from thinking like a technician and being a technician, and then switching that gear completely and having to think like a business owner. And
it was different, because I didn't know what anything was or meant. Like, I came from a compliance consulting company, kind of like Drive, but for compliance. Like, I ran the audit department, and we audited like fintech companies in California, and like basically credit unions and banks and things. So I didn't know what anything was, what anything meant. Like, I could run a business, but I didn't know anything about this business. So I would get like really upset about certain things that I'm like, this doesn't make any sense. Like, this is terrible. And Dan's like, it's not that big of a deal. I'm like, our guy, like, you got people with Drive would talk about like their techs billing 30 and 40 hours a week. I'm like, we're happy with like 17. I'm like, this is a problem. And Dan is very like patient and laid back. He's like, it's all right. And I'm like, it can't be all right, and like just things like that. And I'm like, but like, it is, you just have to like work towards it. It's not something that you can fix. I think that I've had to be more patient, because it's not like certain things you can't fix overnight. Like, it takes time to make a change, and then like see that like grow with the people that you have, and takes time to realize, okay, well, we can't just, like, I think the first thing that when I went to the first Drive Expo, people were like, if somebody's not working out, just fire them. And I'm like, I come from somewhere, it's like very like hand-holdy, like we're gonna work through this together. And then like people don't show up for work, and I'm like, cut them loose. I'm like, I don't care anymore. And that's where I've come from in 5 years. Like the gap is huge. Not everything can be kumbaya like I want it to be. So
And what about your training? How did that go?
mine,
Yeah.
Essentials of Shop Management the first time was really tough because I literally knew what none of the words meant, like the acronyms, like I had to like write everything down. Like I have my book from that class, and literally like every acronym I have it written underneath it, like on all the pages, because I couldn't remember, like I didn't have any of that memory, from some other time. So, and then I took it again. So I think you taught my first one, and then Aircon taught the second time I took it. And that one was much better. I knew a little bit of what I was doing.
Yeah. Well, we have a strong belief that, the more you do it, the more you can do it again. That's why we let all of our clients redo the workshops, right? Because if you
Well,
do it
that's
one
good.
time, you do it again, and do it again, and it just gets better and better and better. So I was
Yeah,
glad
the
to see that you
first time I was like,
took it
are we
twice.
doing this? Do we do this at our shop? And Dan's like, we had had our shop like months at that point. I'm like, I don't know what any of this stuff is. And then the second time I was like, oh, okay, we do that. And then we don't do that, but we probably should. So like able to like take notes and go back. So I
Yeah.
think that was one, and I still look at that book sometimes because there's certain things that like benchmarks that are just good for a truck shop, like percentage wise. And I,
Mhm.
like when I recalculate our OBE, I go back and look at that and like benchmark that against what the percentages should be for like labor and all of that. So
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, you have to have the benchmarks. Hey, Dan, was there any particular training that helped you do that transition? Because I know it's a tough transition from being tech-centric to being an executive.
Yeah, definitely. For me, I think it was mostly the financial stuff and the financial planning aspect of things. And so, like everybody, well, not everybody, like a lot of others, I started out as a technician, and then technician turned shop owner. And so was really good at fixing cars, not so good at fixing a profit and loss statement that didn't make sense,
That didn't make sense,
So now they kind of make sense to me, right? No. I mean, it gave me a new understanding and a firm grasp of my financials and what I should be looking at and how to read those reports and make sure that I am hitting all my metrics. And with that came like a level of confidence too that I didn't have before, over my whole business as a whole. And then like the weekly financial planning that you learn in the apprenticeship is really good, because I was talking to Carla, my current coach, about it right before I started that, and I said, well, the shop's doing really well. We've been doing consistently really well, but why do my graphs look like this? Why do they go up and down so much? I want them to just kind of be like this, like nice and smooth. And she goes, I can tell you why they don't look like that, because you're not planning. You need to start planning. And she was, and I didn't even really understand the concept of how planning could change that. But it did, it did when I got together with my service advisor and started laying out that weekly plan and counting how many cars we had in the shop and looking at our WIP and doing it. It really did make a difference. And it's, it's not perfectly consistent, but it's a lot more consistent than it was before we were doing that. And
That's
so
great.
yeah. So I would have to say, definitely that's, every little bit helps, right? Every class that I've taken something away from and made myself and the team stronger as a result of it. But the financial stuff was coming from the technical background, I think, was the biggest help for me in my shop.
Fantastic.
Very
That's
cool.
great. Yeah, the executive planning apprenticeship, we used to say that cut the mice from the men, and when if you survive getting through it, at the other end of it, you were a different kind of cat. You're now truly a business owner, no longer a technician who owns a shop. Eddie, would you say that's about true? The EPA?
Definitely forces you to get into the habit of looking at that consistently. And yeah, it was a game changer for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, without the training, we've always been very big about pushing training. I mean, the consulting is great. It's good to have a coach. It's good to have someone to be accountable to. We have the old joke, the wonderful thing about owning a shop is there's no one there to tell you what to do. And the horrible thing about owning your own shop is there's no one there to tell you what to do. Right.
Exactly right. It can be very isolating, I know.
Yeah. So
But-
having a coach to help you get what you learn in the workshops implemented is the key, but you got to learn what to do, and then the coach can push you. That's so true. Would you say that was true for you too, Dan? Dan
Mr.
Bollinger.
Bollinger.
Yeah.
Yes,
Oh, we have a
absolutely.
running
I've got
bet
my
on
two
that.
Dans here.
That's right.
Yes, absolutely. I agree with that. Because yeah, like I have learned so much, and because yes, like everybody else, mostly it's like it's easy to fix the vehicle, but to understand what's happening in the office is a whole nother beast. And yeah, having the coaches there to help with that and to understand that and has definitely been great and helpful. So
Very good.
That's
yes.
great.
Now we have a running bet going of how to pronounce your last name. A lot of people around here refer to you as the Bollingers, and
In fact, I think I just made that mistake.
yeah, and so that's why. But I think I learned at the expo, one of the most important things I learned at the expo is you actually pronounce your name Bollinger. Is that correct?
Yeah.
I was gonna say yes, that's how we pronounce it. It is funny because there's even other people in our own family that pronounces it Bollinger. So there really is no wrong way.
Yeah.
It's just the way
It's
we
just how
do
you
it.
pronounce it.
Huh?
You and Kim Bassinger, Bassinger, that's the big running gag too with their name as well. So
Yes, but yeah, we go with Bollinger is how we pronounce it. But I was gonna say we hear Bollinger all the time and don't even give it a second thought.
yeah, no worries. I had a question for Dan. Well,
Which
when I
Dan?
was exactly, I have a question for Mr. Vasquez. You really sunk your teeth into the developing shop playbooks when you did that workshop with me, and I'd like to know what your thoughts on that workshop were and how the playbook app is working for you these days.
Yeah, the playbook app in itself is exactly what I needed for my shop. Because anybody who knows me knows that I hate paper, right? And so I wanted a digital app that I could have somebody digitally acknowledge their agreement with the plays as I was writing them. And so that definitely ticks that box. And it was a little bit daunting. I'm sure everybody, when they first open it, is a little bit like, wow, this is a lot. And, how do I categorize all this? And how do I do it all? But the playbook class helped out a lot with that, and also just figuring out like what plays do you really need in your business and what are the different departments. And in our small businesses, you learn really quickly, like, well, I don't have a reception department, but I do have people filling a reception role. And so, just kind of, the class helps with identifying the key parts of what you need in your playbook, some of those key plays. And then having all those templates on the app, I mean, that's just like priceless, right? Like you go, I want a dress code, and you search dress code and you find a template, and it may not be exactly what you need, but you can you can build off of that. And then having Chat GPT built in is awesome. Like
Yeah,
Chat
isn't that great?
GPT. Oh, it makes me seem like I'm eloquent when I'm not. I love it. But yeah, and so right now I finished my financial planning apprenticeship, and I'm doing the playbook apprenticeship right now, and I'm excited about it. Honestly, it's a lot of work, but it was kind of like doing my job descriptions. That was like a lot of work also. But when I finished my job descriptions, it changed my business, and it changed the way that I worked with and managed my people, because everybody had a clear, defined description and an expectation from me of what I expected from them, right? And so like getting that done was like a big checkbox. And then now as I'm finishing up my policies and procedures manual, my playbook, it's exciting because then I have these plays that I can refer back to and I can manage to, and I can reassign them if somebody isn't getting the full picture or if they're not kind of following along. So I'm excited for it, which sounds kind of weird. Maybe that sounds nerdy, but I'm excited because I think it's the next step to being fully stage 4 and taking my business to the next level. It's getting everything in here,
Out of there.
out of there and
Yep.
transferred. And so
Yeah.
I can't wait to just be done. It'll probably never be done. It'll always be a work in progress, but I can't wait till the meat and potatoes is done and I get it on paper, so to speak, digital paper.
Awesome.
That's
Very-
fantastic. And believe it or not, we're up against our 1 o'clock. It's actually 1:01. My gosh, it goes so fast. Next week, Tony and I are going to be talking about the Playbook Club. And Dan, it sounds like you're part of the club.
Yes.
I haven't seen him
You joined
yet.
the club. All
Oh,
right.
no, not the
good.
club, just the apprenticeship. Yeah. But
Oh,
let me-
okay.
I'll join.
Yeah, the Playbook Club is what we're going to be talking about. Tony is piloting that and he's taking it off and we'll
It's
be
that peer
talking
to
about
peer.
that.
It's the
Yes.
peer to peer. It's going to be great. And we do it once a month. And anyway, yeah, it's going to be wonderful.
Help
It's a
everybody develop their playbooks.
Yep.
I
that's
want to
exactly
thank
right.
everybody for joining us. Eddie, great to see you again. Say hi to Holly, Dan and Chris. Wonderful to see you folks. Thank you so much for being here. And I wish you nothing but continued success.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Bye, guys.
All right. Tony, I think we're signing off.
I think we're out.